everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to try and answer a question that I get asked a lot, and that question is, how much does it cost to move to Australia? So you might think that's a really easy question to answer and you'd just be able to come up with a figure off the top of your head, but it's actually quite a complicated question. And the reason for that is because there are so many different things that you have to pay for when you're in the process of moving to another country that it's kind of hard to keep track of exactly how much it's costing you. And so what I've done is I've gone through and made a list of the things that we had to pay for when we were getting our visa, what it cost for each of those things, and I'm going to try and break it down for you so that you know exactly what we paid for at each stage of applying for our visa. Now this applies for a 189 visa for 2 people that were moving to Australia. That's the skilled independent visa. Now if you are applying for a different kind of visa, then you might not have to pay some of these things. You might have other costs that we didn't have, and you might find that it's actually a much cheaper process than what we went through, because I think the 189 skilled independent visa is one of the most expensive processes that you can go through if you want to move to Australia. If you're being sponsored, then you can even get companies that will pay to help get you through the process so that you can move to Australia. So I've kind of broken this down and I've tried to do it as much in order of when we paid for things as possible. So the first thing that we paid for was an agent, and the reason that we got an agent was because we had procrastinated so much over moving to Australia, and we knew that we needed somebody that was going to help push us through the process and also give us help and advice, because we just didn't know how we would do this and there were so many questions that we had. So we decided that an agent was going to be worth the cost. Now our agent cost us in total £2,220, and that was paid across 4 installments, and that money was including VAT. So it started as smaller installments at the beginning, and then I think our largest installment was at the end. Sorry if you can hear some traffic in the background. If you live in Australia, then particularly if you live in Melbourne, there will probably be traffic where you stay. So that was probably one of our largest things that we had to pay for. Then after that, I had to get a skills assessment done. And there were a lot of different things that had to be paid for as part of the skills assessment. So the fee itself was 930 Australian dollars. Now as part of that there were certain things that they required, and I actually have a list here which you might not be able to see because it might be a bit blown out, of everything that ANMAC, the Australian Nursing and Midwifery Accreditation Council, ask for as they do their skills assessment. So one thing was that they needed the Nursing and Midwifery Council of the UK to send what they call a verification request, which says that I am registered with the Nursing and Midwifery Council in the UK. That cost me £34. The university that I attended had to send a copy of my transcript. That cost me £55. I had to sit the IELTS test, which is the International English Language Testing System, I believe. That cost me £145. This was something that I just had to do for the ANMAC skills assessment. Otherwise I wouldn't have had to do the IELTS test necessarily because I was from an English speaking country. But if you want to work as a nurse, then it's compulsory that you have to sit an English language test. I also needed to get a lot of documents certified, and that wasn't just at this stage of the process. There were documents that had to be certified at various stages of the process. And I was very fortunate. I went to a solicitor at an estate agent, and they agreed to certify my documents for £20 for each group of documents that I took to them at a time, and that could be maybe about 10 or 12 documents. Before that, I had gone to a solicitor just in a solicitor's office and asked them how much it would cost, and they told me it was going to cost, I think it was around £50 per page. So that would have cost me a significant amount of money, and I managed to save a lot just by going to a solicitor in an estate agent. So definitely shop around if you need documents certified. So after that, we needed to get medical assessments done, and Stephen and I both needed to get a medical assessment. Mine was slightly more expensive. I needed 2 extra blood tests, hepatitis B and hepatitis C, because I was going to be working in healthcare. So in total, the health assessments for the 2 of us cost £723. We also needed to get UK police checks, and that cost us £90 for the 2 of us, so that was £45 each. Once we got to the point of applying for our visa, that cost us 5,400 Australian dollars, and that was $3,600 for me as the main applicant and $1,800 for Stephen as the second applicant. And he was applying on the basis that he was my partner. We had been in a relationship for a significant length of time, and we were able to prove that. Now, there were also other things that we needed to pay for. We wanted to move some furniture, we wanted to move a lot of belongings, and so we had international removals that we needed to pay for. So the cost of our international removal, that cost us £3,119.66, including the cost of our insurance, and we just took out insurance with our removal company. And then because we were moving into an apartment that was on a higher floor, and they were going to have to travel quite a long way from the truck to the apartment, and they were going to have to use a lift to access that, they charged us extra money for a long walk and lift access once they got here. So that was an extra $255.20 in Australian dollars for the people that were delivering it once they got here. We also decided to take out something called migration cover. Now, I've spoken about migration cover in some of my videos before. It's a kind of cover that you can take out for unexpected events, so that if you move here and then you lose your job, or somebody becomes very unwell and you need to go home unexpectedly, then they can help to cover the costs of you traveling home for a short period of time or going home on a permanent basis if that's what needs to happen. So we thought that would be a good thing to take out for the first year, just in case there was anything that came up that we weren't expecting. And we paid $635.25 to get 1 year of migration cover for the 2 of us. For flights, we decided it was worth it to travel in premium economy, because we travelled to Australia in 2011 in economy, and let me tell you, 24 hours in economy is not the best experience. It's a very long time to be somewhere very cramped. Plus, if you travel in premium economy, then you're going to get a larger luggage allowance, and if you're going to be spending quite a few months without the majority of your belongings, then it's probably a good idea to make the most of your luggage allowance on the plane. So we decided for the benefit of being more comfortable, because it was something that we were only going to be planning on doing once, and because we wanted to take as much stuff with us as possible, then we thought it was worth it to travel premium economy. These are obviously not the cheapest flights. You might decide this is not a priority for you. Obviously, go with what suits you. But we travelled with Qantas and we paid £3,279.82 for our flights for the two of us, and that was travelling in October. So it's actually very nearly 1 year since we came out here, because currently we are on the 4th of October, and last year we left the UK on the 9th of October and got here on the 10th. So it's nearly a year since we came out here. We needed travel insurance. Now, something that you might not consider is the fact that one-way travel insurance is a bit of an unusual thing. So we found travel insurance, and it just covered us for things like if our luggage got damaged. That cost us £61.95. And then once I got out here, to be able to work, I had to register with APRA, which is the Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Authority. And that cost me 520 Australian dollars. As part of that, I had to get another criminal history check or police check, which was an international one through Fit to Work. That cost me $163.90, and there were lots of certified documents required for that. So in total, that cost us round about £14,500. And that wasn't everything that we had to pay for as part of our move to Australia. Once we got here, then there were certain things that we had to pay for. We did transfer a certain amount of money over. I can't remember how much it was, but we transferred a few £1,000s from the UK to our Australian bank account while we were still living in the UK. We had opened our Australian bank account before we moved out here. All that money vanished. And we used it to buy furniture, we used it to buy a fridge freezer, to buy a washing machine, because when you move into an unfurnished apartment, then it doesn't come with all of your white goods. There's been other things that we've had to pay for. Stephen obviously wasn't working for 5 months, so that was money that we missed out on. We took a loss on our house when we sold it. We had estate agents' fees. There's a lot of things that you have to think about that's not just included in the cost of the visa itself. So I hope that helps to explain a bit better about how much it costs to move to Australia. If you've got any questions, then please just leave them in the comment section below. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more from me, and I will see you next time.